1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Bird nerds, how are you? Monday, obviously, hit the thing twice. Hello, I'm Grant. I'm a bird nerd. Today, it's going to be pretty casual because I can't find the story that I really wanted to talk about. I'll keep looking for it while we run and comment on a number of things, a couple of issues. They're all bird adjacent. I should note too, here on the Bird Emergency, we talk about birds and conservation, and where we can, threatened, rare, endangered birds. But today, the first thing I want to talk about is how the law is being used to stop protests. And I've talked about it a lot in terms of the special laws that have been engaged or that have been developed in most states to effectively stop protesting being legal in forests or in areas that the government or a minister can designate, so that instead of having a law that covers all forests, they just have to denote a particular spot where logging might be about to commence, and it will be illegal for you to be there if you are doing anything other than the commercial activity which has been defined. But this has been happening in Western Australia. This case I want to talk to you about, or talk with you about. I better make sure that it's loud enough, so just let me get that up. You may be familiar with this chap, Kerry O'Brien from the ABC. This is a segment from the last week on Media Watch, and tell me if you think that this sucks.
Class junkets could get it flying again. We will be watching.
Here it comes.
But now, to an extraordinary ruling in the courts in WA that could limit free speech and gag the media. And it follows an attempted climate protest in Perth last month outside the home of Meg O'Neill, the CEO of oil and gas giant Woodside.
This was not a quote-unquote harmless...
Let me know, are you actually hearing that? Because I'm not getting it in my headphones, so let me... Let me rewind that and we'll... Okay. Let me know if you can't hear it. I am going to start that again.
But now, to an extraordinary ruling in the courts in WA that could limit free speech and gag the media. And it follows an attempted climate protest in Perth last month outside the home of Meg O'Neill, the CEO of oil and gas giant Woodside.
This was not a quote-unquote harmless protest as we know it. What happened Tuesday has left me shaken, fearful and distressed.
Disrupt Burrup Hub protesters are accused of turning up to Ms O'Neill's home armed with spray paint and padlocks.
4 climate activists are now facing charges over that failed protest, which was thwarted by police from the anti-terror squad, who were lying in wait. And as you may recall, the drama also got the ABC into strife because a crew from Four Corners was there to film the action.
This is the photo that caused ABC Managing Director David Anderson to issue a statement of regret to Woodside Chief Executive Meg O'Neill.
Woodside raised hell with the media, politicians and the ABC and accused Four Corners of encouraging the protesters, with one insider telling Media Watch, re Woodside,
"I've never seen anything like it. Such blatant exercise of power."
But the oil and gas company has not stopped there, because it has now taken legal action that could shut down the protesters.
A group of climate activists has been issued interim restraining orders after targeting the home of Woodside Gas Chief Executive Meg O'Neill.
The orders obtained by Woodside from a WA magistrate, which are set to be challenged by the protesters, are actually VROs, or violence restraining orders, which are normally used in cases of domestic or neighbour violence and can only be granted
when an act of personal violence has been or is feared will be committed.
So, what constitutes violence? According to Associate Professor Stella Tarrant at the University of Western Australia,
personal violence means A, assault or personal injury, B, kidnapping or deprivation of liberty, C, stalking, or D, threatening to assault or kidnap.
And she adds that harassment is not included and not grounds for a VRO. So, it seems remarkable that Meg O'Neill was granted one, given that the Burrup Hub activists insist their protest was peaceful and they have not been charged with violence or threatening violence. But even more remarkable is that the VROs reportedly order them not to
harass or make any reference to the person protected, O'Neill, by any electronic means, including by using the internet and any social network application, such as Facebook, to depict or refer in any offensive manner to the person protected.
So why on earth did the court agree to that? And what does it mean? The activists believe it's designed to stop them making any comment at all, including to Four Corners, which is looking at direct action climate protests and tough new laws that target them. And their lawyer, Zara Burgess, told Media Watch,
they're quite scared about appearing because breaching the order could result in charges being laid and could lead to criminal convictions.
And Michael Douglas at the UWA Law School agrees that they face a significant risk, telling us,
these orders are extraordinary. Preventing protest at a person's home is one thing, but preventing critical speech is another. If they, the protesters, continued their criticism on TV, they could be in serious strife. They could end up in jail.
And he adds,
this order could constrain all sorts of legitimate political speech.
Alice Drury from the Human Rights Law Centre is equally scathing, telling Media Watch,
I have never before seen restraining orders, which are designed to protect people fleeing family violence, used to silence dissent. They go far beyond what can possibly be justified in a democracy.
And she adds,
Woodside and the multi-billion-dollar fossil fuel industry are trying to send a chilling message to anyone who dares to speak out. You will be intimidated and silenced.
The restraining orders will be challenged, and a court date of 24th of November has been set down for the hearing, which could result in them being confirmed, amended or set aside. But until then, they remain in force. So when Four Corners goes to air, probably in October, the Burrup Hub protesters will have a difficult decision to make. Unless, of course, Woodside backs down. We asked the company for comment, but it did not respond to our questions. Finally, to the accidental BBC star who became an internet sensation after an embarrassing TV mix-up.
Okay. So, got any comment about that? I mean, this is where, for me, I get really concerned because it's the creep of people who, well, I certainly think, should be not being protected. Let's rephrase that. People's personal safety needs to be protected. So there should be no physical intimidation, violence. If the protesters are at an executive's home and they're not like stopping people coming in or out, I don't think that is, it's bloody annoying. And if they're not on the property, it's not trespass. But that's certainly not a personal threat, in my view, to that executive. So that's one thing. But to be so creative that to get a restraining order, and in Western Australia, this particular one is called the violence restraining order, that is aimed at curbing violent behaviour of people known to you that physically threaten you, and the case generally referred to is in domestic violence situations. So a law crafted to deal with that is now being used to protect the captains of industry. And further than not to be nearby that person, stopping comment, any kind of comment on any platform where you mention the executive. This is bonkers stuff, in my view. What do you think? I would be very interested in your views. Stormy, what's your gut? What does your gut tell you about the creative application of laws such as this case? I mean, it's just scary, in my view. I'm just going to try and set up the next one, and I'm going to keep looking for the next story that I want to talk about, or not the next one, the one after. So just talk among yourselves. I'm just looking. There's this one, if I can find it, I think it was on X, but it was maybe I need to look on X. I've been trying to. I have been trying to not do that, but let's see if I can find it. If I go to Twitter, does it still take me to X? Oh, it looks like it does. Okay. Okay, Stormy or H2 Rider, I think when you say wrong, are you saying, oh, amazing, as soon as I've, a really good thing from David Watson, let me flag that. Sorry, I haven't been on X for ages. Oh no, I'll just have to put that up later. Search. So yeah, Stormy, I think you mean that the use of that law in that context is really wrong. But this has been something that's been creeping in for ages, and I'm really concerned about it. Okay, let's see if this will bring up the latest one. I'm not seeing it. Oh, maybe it was in my notifications. Let me have a look. Sorry. This is what I hadn't been able to see this, and I haven't been able to find it, which is why I was just a little bit late today. Okay, that was not there. Looking at lots of good photos from Deb in X. Oh, what's that? Oh, nice. Lots of nice photos from Deb. While I'm scanning through, and you are not getting a whole lot of excitement from me, just tell me your your best and most recent urban bird urban bird encounter. I had an interesting vision of a magpie today, and the magpie is a very smart magpie. I can't find it, so I'll dump that. The sun had only just come over the level of most of the houses. I saw a female magpie all fluffed up, and I thought, oh, what are they doing? And they were in a very particular pose, and they were close to the side of the house, and I wondered why they were in this spot and not moving. And then when I, sized up where the sun was, they were where the grass was lowest, where it had been mown low, so it was getting all of the possible rays of sun. It was close to the radiant heat of the building, and it was also standing on a little bit of paving so it was getting all of the heat possible early in the morning to warm up, and it had all its feathers fluffed, so it was getting as much sunlight in under its feathers, and I assume that's trying to get some direct sunlight onto where potentially they've got some parasites or something on them. So anyway, that was that. So yeah, I cannot find what I'm looking for. If you've seen it and you have the link, let me know. What I'm looking for is the story that was out a couple of days ago. I thought I saw it in The Guardian, but I can't find it on The Guardian site. That the orange-bellied parrot recovery plan update has apparently been released by the occasional Minister for the Environment, but it wasn't sent to the recovery team for comment, supposedly. Now, I don't know whether it's correct or not. I'm trying to find where I saw it, but I just can't find it. So if you had seen it, let me know. Even if you don't know the link, if you saw that story, let me know. Now, the next story I want to talk about is this one, which I'm not sure whether I am happy about it or not. Yes, Stormy. Yes, the sometime Minister for Environment, soon to be the Minister for Extinction. I fear you are right. Okay, this is the story that I don't know how to feel about this one. It's in The Guardian. The Greens, who, for anyone watching later who is not in Australia, the Greens party in the Australian Senate hold the balance of power, and indeed with some independents with the Greens hold the balance of power in... Oh, they're no longer holding the balance of power, are they? But they are a potentially a significant force in the lower house, as well as the Australian upper house, which is the Senate. And you need to get legislation through both houses of Parliament before it can become law. Now, there are some laws before the Parliament at the moment to revise the Murray-Darling Basin Plan, which was originally an attempt to get South Australia, New South Wales, Queensland, Victoria and the federal government to cooperate to return the required environmental flows back into the Murray-Darling River system, because there just isn't enough getting through to keep the entire river system healthy, and also needing to balance the needs of the towns, all the people along each of the rivers that comprise the Murray-Darling Basin, with Australia's two longest and biggest rivers, the Murray and the Darling, and all of the agricultural and industrial users of water along those rivers, and of course the domestic users of water along there. Now, Labor, the government now, it's the ALP, had sought to get a new plan through, and all of the governments had agreed, apart from the Victorian government, and the aim was to return 450 gigalitres of additional water to claw back over allocation of water licences and existing water rights along those rivers, to try and sustain both the Coorong, which is, and Lake Alexandrina, which is at the mouth of the Murray, and then all of the users coming all the way back, right back to the headwaters of the Murray on the border of Victoria and New South Wales in the east of Australia, and up into the Channel Country in southwestern Queensland and western New South Wales, where the Darling originates. Well, now the Greens have said they will be blocking that in the Senate without more stringent oversight mechanisms to ensure that the 450 gigalitres earmarked for the environment are recovered. And I'm really happy that the Greens are pushing for some real oversight to be present for users of water, because most of the time it's just been an honesty system. But on the other hand, I'm really unhappy. I'm really sad, not unhappy. I'm really sad that it doesn't look like that the federal government was taking it seriously enough to begin with. So let's see. It's obviously better than what was happening with the previous government, because they just didn't engage in recovery of any water for the environment. They just didn't see it as a priority, which, should we be surprised? Stormy, so you've said cotton farmers in Queensland and New South Wales holding the water from South Australia and Victoria. I think it's a little bit more nuanced than that. It's not just the cotton farmers. It's all of those. It's all of the agricultural and industrial users in the catchment who are doing things like laser grading and building dams which are unregulated, and they're harvesting water, and this is all along the catchment, and it's not only cotton farmers. So they're the easy target, and I think most of the agricultural community are quite happy for everyone to point at the cotton farmers, because it's not just the cotton farmers, it's everybody who is altering the topography of their land, or of the land that they lease or occupy. It's not their land, and unless it's freehold land, and most of the agricultural land in the country is is leased land. But they're harvesting much, much more water than they ever were before. A lot of it goes unseen because if you're doing laser grading, you are generally, you might not actually be retaining water in a big dam, which is what people see. You're digging a big dam. But if you're actually altering the topography so that you get more even runoff and more even infiltration, if you're not getting as much runoff and it's not spilling over and eventually getting into the creeks and the rivers, well, it's the same effect. It's the exact same effect. The water doesn't make it, except in times of flood, extreme flood. Doesn't make it to the headwaters. So to the mouth of the Murray, and the Darling. So yeah, just wanted to flag that. Just wanted to let you know that it was out there. And we're not going to go for terribly long today because I can't find that other story. Again, if you can find it, let me know. I'll do another search in a moment, but we'll get rid of this one. Yeah, this is really the point that I was making. People are far more efficient now in harvesting water than they were years and years and years ago, even going back 30 years. But so there's less water in the system that makes it to the mouth. Even if we have the same rainfall that people have expected, maybe over 5 or maybe 10-year averages, just less of it is getting into the rivers because we're much, much more efficient at harvesting it. So that's the thought there. Okay, now this is this is just something I was interested in. I will share this tab, get that up and going in a minute, but I'll just try and find I'm just going to try the recovery team. Told. Let's just see if that search comes up. No, that's all. Sorry, everyone. It's annoying when I can't find what I want. Let's try this. I'll try working together. No. It is annoying that videos. Let's see if there's a video anyway. No. All right. That one's gone. Sorry, folks. We can't talk about that one. So the last thing I just wanted to talk about is we probably don't even need to look at this one. So last thing I just wanted to talk about is how I'm feeling very flat, even more flat, about where we are here in Australia in terms of the environment, but also social justice issues. And I think now when we're talking climate change, the extinction crisis, the degradation of the environment, these are social justice issues, I think, as much as the voice, the referendum on the voice, I think is, and then our homelessness crisis, the I don't like using all the jargon, but like the cost of living issues that then put people into under real financial pressure. And it's just so disappointing that our the government that we most recently voted in, with all that hope and that people were feeling, and I certainly was. It's just another government that is protecting industry ahead of people, I think, and the environment is so far behind. I will put up the newsletter that got me thinking about it. Let's pop it up. I encourage you to search Tim Dunlop. He writes really well, and I think this is on Tim Dunlop's Substack, making use of the death of Jimmy Buffett, wasting away in Albaneseville, and the subheading there, trade-offs between power and longevity. That's what really got me thinking, that they never seem to want to offend anybody with power, and it's just really, really, really disappointing. I'm not hearing anyone, even in the ALP, in the backbenchers, who are being in the least bit provocative. And I did some politics units when I was at school, and at uni. Beg your pardon, at uni. I was used to there being shit stirrers in each party and saying outrageous things. It just seems to be that, and when I say outrageous, often very provocative things designed to possibly test the waters to see how far a government could move, judging on the reaction to things that, union officials, former unionists who are now in the parliament, maybe floating. What do they call them now? Thought bubbles, ideas, flying a kite, I think is what they say, don't they? Running it up the flagpole and seeing who'll salute. But where is it? Nobody's doing it. It's very, very, very upsetting in the on the left side of politics anyway. I think there's still plenty of freaks saying outrageous things on the right, but they just have no influence at the moment because they are so small. I guess we're not hearing it. I just don't know. I just don't know. Opportunity to drop your thoughts in there. Particularly, if we can go back to the use of laws that were not designed to stifle protest and dissent, particularly stopping people making comment in the media, or on social media, that one's the thing that has upset me more than anything else, I think. So, what do you think about that? If you've just arrived, I'll just see there have been a few people who've come in quickly recently. Let me know if you didn't see the first thing we talked about, which was the use of the violence orders in violence restraining orders in Western Australia, and I can play that that again if you missed that. So I think that's really the most important thing that I wanted to talk about. I'm going to play it again anyway. How about that? Let's get this up. Sorry, Stormy, if you've already seen this, but I'm going to play it again because I think there's some things that need to be reiterated. So this is Media Watch from last Monday, and pay special attention to who is being protected, where they're from, and the means that they're using to do the protection, and how sweeping the orders are.
But now, to an extraordinary ruling in the courts in WA that could limit free speech and gag the media. And it follows an attempted climate protest in Perth last month outside the home of Meg O'Neill, the CEO of oil and gas giant Woodside.
This was not a quote-unquote harmless protest as we know it. What happened Tuesday has left me shaken, fearful, and distressed.
Disrupt Burrup Hub protesters are accused of turning up to Ms O'Neill's home armed with spray paint and padlocks.
4 climate activists are now facing charges over that failed protest, which was thwarted by police from the anti-terror squad, who were lying in wait. And as you may recall, the drama also got the ABC into strife because a crew from Four Corners was there to film the action.
This is the photo that caused ABC Managing Director David Anderson to issue a statement of regret to Woodside Chief Executive Meg O'Neill.
Woodside raised hell with the media, politicians and the ABC and accused Four Corners of encouraging the protesters, with one insider telling Media Watch, re Woodside,
I've never seen anything like it. Such blatant exercise of power.
But the oil and gas company has not stopped there because it has now taken legal action that could shut down the protesters.
A group of climate activists has been issued interim restraining orders after targeting the home of Woodside Gas Chief Executive Meg O'Neill.
The orders, obtained by Woodside from a WA magistrate, which are set to be challenged by the protesters, are actually VROs, or violence restraining orders, which are normally used in cases of domestic or neighbour violence and can only be granted
when an act of personal violence has been or is feared will be committed.
So, what constitutes violence? According to Associate Professor Stella Tarrant at the University of Western Australia,
Personal violence means A, assault or personal injury, B, kidnapping or deprivation of liberty, C, stalking, or D, threatening to assault or kidnap.
And she adds that harassment is not included and not grounds for a VRO. So, it seems remarkable that Meg O'Neill was granted one, given that the Burrup Hub activists insist their protest was peaceful and they have not been charged with violence or threatening violence. But even more remarkable is that the VROs reportedly order them not to
harass or make any reference to the person protected, O'Neill, by any electronic means, including by using the internet and any social network application, such as Facebook, to depict or refer in any offensive manner to the person protected.
So why on earth did the court agree to that? And what does it mean? The activists believe it's designed to stop them making any comment at all, including to Four Corners, which is looking at direct action climate protests and tough new laws that target them. And their lawyer, Zara Burgess, told Media Watch,
They're quite scared about appearing because breaching the order could result in charges being laid and could lead to criminal convictions.
And Michael Douglas at the UWA Law School agrees that they face a significant risk, telling us,
These orders are extraordinary. Preventing protest at a person's home is one thing, but preventing critical speech is another. If they, the protesters, continued their criticism on TV, they could be in serious strife. They could end up in jail.
And he adds,
this order could constrain all sorts of legitimate political speech.
Alice Drury from the Human Rights Law Centre is equally scathing, telling Media Watch,
I have never before seen restraining orders, which are designed to protect people fleeing family violence, used to silence dissent. They go far beyond what can possibly be justified in a democracy.
And she adds,
Woodside and the multi-billion-dollar fossil fuel industry are trying to send a chilling message to anyone who dares to speak out. You will be intimidated and silenced.
the restraining orders will be challenged, and a court date of 24th of November has been set down for the hearing, which could result in them being confirmed, amended or set aside. But until then, they remain in force. So when Four Corners goes to air, probably in October, the Burrup Hub protesters will have a difficult decision to make. Unless, of course, Woodside backs down. We asked the company for comment, but it did not respond to our questions. Finally, to the accidental...
So, there we are. That's the main thing that I wanted to talk about today and to get in your minds. That's the most extreme use of an existing law that's been sort of taken from that has been enacted for one purpose and that has been applied to another that I've seen. But remember that certainly New South Wales, Victoria and Tasmania have enacted in the last 2 years laws specifically aimed at limiting protest and where protests can occur. I might say, if you are going to do a protest at somebody's home or their place of business like that, having locks and hammers is probably not the best thing. I mean, they could be broadly construed as conveying some kind of action that goes beyond just peaceful protest. So, yeah, I think people are going to have to be really, really, really careful, and yeah, I'm just really concerned at the looks like the ease of which a magistrate will use a law designed for domestic violence and sustained harassment and physical harm at preventing or stopping actual violence and using it to stop comment on social media. Yeah, it's very, very, very scary. Anyway, I will try and find the story. I'll dig it up from wherever I saw it about the orange-bellied parrot and the recovery team. I'll have to reach out for some people. Obviously, probably because it's controversial again, I probably won't be able to speak to anyone about orange-bellied parrots again. That's been the go all the time I've been doing this show. I can't speak to anyone about orange-bellied parrots. No one wants to touch it. But I will be back with Holly on Monday, this coming Monday, the 18th at midday, talking urban birds again. I haven't given Holly an assignment yet, but we'll certainly be talking about bird surveys and why they're important. Again, I will probably have a couple of thoughts about some garden plants because I have been doing a lot of thinking about garden plants. And we'll just see. I've reached out to a couple of guests. We'll see if people are available. Otherwise, it's me and Holly, midday on the 18th. The deep dive with Ricky is back on the 26th, Tuesday, 3 p.m. So we'll be doing a summary of rare bird alerts, and Ricky will do a Sydney roundup, especially from her patch. We'll talk about a bird watching issue or technique, and there will be a bit more coming up in that, but that's still 2 weeks away. So the planning is only in the rudimentary stage. Thanks for joining us. Who have we got? We got people from everywhere again. Hello, Twitch. It's always good when Twitch is here. Oh, and then there's some more. Hello, YouTube. Sorry you've come in right as we're bailing out. I can't play the clip again. We've already done it twice that we've been talking about. Thanks, Stormy. Of course, if you are new and you're just coming in and you're going, what's this bird emergency thing? We talk regularly about bird conservation and other conservation issues on these live streams, and I'm frequently interviewing someone who is an expert in the field. I'm just a bird nerd. But if you've got something you would like to say or contribute, when you pop into a live stream, you can comment like Stormy has just done, and I can put them up on the screen and we can talk about it, and yes, make your thoughts known. So Monday midday coming. What did we say? The 18th. I'm back with Holly Parsons, Urban Birds Program Manager from BirdLife Australia, and the following Tuesday, the 26th, 3 p.m. Birdwatching Deep Dive with Ricky Coughlin, and I will probably be popping up in between then with other guests if they confirm for some standard bird emergency conservation rare bird interviews along that time frame in between. I just don't have anyone confirmed yet to tell you about. So follow my YouTube channel, Twitch. If you go, actually, I better put the Twitch up. Let me do that while we're here. I'll put the I'll find my Twitch if I can. Where's my Twitch? thebirdemergency.com/Twitch. thebirdemergency.com/YouTube. So here we are. There's the YouTube. There's the Twitch. And TikTok. Grant Bird Nerd on TikTok, and thebirdemergency.com/Facebook. And yeah, that's a good place to start. Okay, everyone, thanks for popping in again. If you happen to see that story that I can't find about the orange-bellied parrot recovery team not being notified about the release of the orange-bellied parrot recovery report, send it along to me. Let me know. You can use the comments in YouTube to give me a heads up, because I'm checking those out. So see you, bird nerds.